Well, that's the nice two pre-season friendlies all done and ticked off. We can start the real action, the real quiz next week. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. I'm not even joking, Dave. Are you pleased to get that one out of the way?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It was, started off quite brightly, didn't it?
Dave's very talkative tonight, Seb. Really pleased to get that one out of the way, matey.
Yeah, very much so. As Dave said, it started off all right. Was a brilliant 3 minutes, and then, as we'll discuss in a minute, what happened. But the hardest game of the season is now done, and the real work can hopefully start next Saturday at home to Fulham, can't it?
It can indeed. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, everybody. If you are here and in the chat, help us make sense of our weird 2 years of winning every week and then taking a couple of pastings for the first couple of Premier League games. And we're going to be off and running. We are going to talk to you about another 2 signings in the door confirmed over this past weekend. We'll do that after we've spoken about the game away at Manchester City. Dave, did you have any expectations whatsoever, or was it just try and score a goal and don't lose by more than 3 goals?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, pretty much. And pretty much it's all going to plan till pesky Haaland spoilt it all near the end. But no, it was, I think that was, we wanted to score a goal. I don't think we all expected to score first, which is just something incredible, really. But yeah, look, in the end, spoiler alert, it wasn't an absolute pasting, and I'm sure they will paste some teams this season, no doubt. Well, we saw one today, didn't we? But it wasn't them. But look, just come out of these 2 games with some degree of credibility, which I think we have, and some positivity, which I think we have. And take that forward into the Fulham game next Saturday.
And we can talk, hold your fire in the chat. But I want to ask you, when the guys have analysed Man City away, Dave mentioned it. We're looking for some positives to pull out. You can let us know what you think they are. And also what we learned across the first 2 games against a couple of European Cup winners, Seb. But what was your take on the ITFC 11? I've just seen Murich's rating on FootMob, by the way. We'll get
That's outrageous. That is outrageous.
2.8, yeah. So, Seb, give me your headline takes on this team. Murich in goal. Johnson, Tuanzebe, Wolfenden, Greaves, and Davis. And you can give me a take on the team shape as well. Morsey, Luongo, Hutchinson, Smodic in from the start with Delap ahead of him. Talk to me about the selections. He's still, as we thought, he's going to drip these guys in slowly, isn't he? Going with the guys who know the patterns of play. Talk to me about the selection and the team shape.
Yeah, it's what McKenna does, isn't it? Me and Mikey debated on Thursday night, would Kayuste come straight in to add that kind of running power? And apparently he loves a tackle. So we kind of debated whether or not he'd come in, but it's not what McKenna does, is it? The signings are always drip-fed from the bench across a few weeks here and there. And I guess after Fulham, we've got a 2-week international break as well, so we've got a bit more time to get into them. So with Wes Burns being out, I guess the 2 question marks were who's playing down the right-hand side and who's going to play in goal if Muric passes the fitness test, which he did. Obviously, he got the nod in goal as the number 1 signing in the summer for 8 million, 9 million quid, whatever it was. And I guess the other thing we debated on pre-match, me and Mikey, was how would the formation work? You know, would it be a 3 at the back in kind of a hybrid right back / right centre half like we saw with Danassian when McKenna first took over, or would Johnson play high and wide like Wes Burns does? And in the end, in the first half, it was neither, was it? We'll discuss kind of what we did and how we set up as we go through the first half. But yeah, no real shocks in the starting 11. And then when I saw the Man City 11, it kind of got very, very real, very, very quickly. So yeah, no surprises in our 11 at all.
I'm pleased about this, Dave. We spoke through pre-season. We talked about a 4-3-3 shape. We talked about a 3-5-2, and we did say, you can listen back, the number 10 will be the one that disappears, out of that position. You get 2 wide runners. And when you hear Kieran McKenna saying, we scored the goal that we practiced to score, you can see that's going to be, what's your take on what Seb had to say about the team shape in particular?
No, I think I totally agree with what he said there. And Johnson, he was in neither position. It was quite odd that certainly that first half. I think there was certainly throughout as the first half went on, I think there was certainly tweaks to it. But no, I mean, and again, I think the starting 11, I don't think there was any great shocks there to anybody, was it? I think it's pretty much as we pretty much expected. Yeah, I think it would have been a lot for Coyote certainly to have got a start there. Maybe a little bit surprised that we didn't see him. I saw a comment from Mullet there that perhaps he nearly came on as obviously a joke with you, Seb, or something. But yeah, maybe slightly surprised that we didn't see him at some point. But yeah, I think that was the side, given that Burns was out, that we knew he was going to be out. I think that was the side most people would have gone with.
Right. Spoiler alert. Trigger warning. Those people who don't like us saying that other teams have good players, get ready to mute. I'm about to read the Manchester City team. Here we go. Edison in goal. Akanji, Diaz, Gvardiol, Lewis, Kovacic, Doku, Savinio, Silva, De Bruyne, Haaland. God's sake, Dave, we're in League One 2 seasons ago.
I mean, I mean, that's it. I mean, then look at the bench. Then look who wasn't on the bench. I mean, Rodri and Foden weren't on the bench. Foden was sick. Rodri obviously carrying an injury from last week. He didn't play last week. Foden, I think, was ill. And I mean, the bench. Just for laughs. Read the bench out. Have you got the bench there?
I can do you the bench. Stones, Gundogan, Grealish, McAtee, Nunes, Ortega, Kabore.
Oh, it's nuts. I mean,
I haven't finished yet. Walker and Ake as well. But I know we get in trouble, Dave, for going over opposition players, but we have to remain perspective. This is not
realistic.
Even, a hard game in the league we're in. This is an all-time English football great squad and side, isn't it?
Yeah, look, they're on the back. We've won 4 on the spin, going for 5 on the spin, and on the evidence of what I've seen so far, nothing really will convince me otherwise that they won't get 5. Maybe Arsenal might have a big thing to say about that this season, but yeah, just incredible, and the strength of the squad. I read somewhere the value of the squad. If you really add up the value of the squad, it's close to $1 billion or something ridiculous. Yeah, and it just absolutely showed, and it really showed.
Seb, you were in the stadium. You almost have to treat it like a kind of FA Cup tie, don't you? Of what analysis can you do when they're so star-studded? It's not even funny.
That's a bit what it felt like. Walking up the steps to get to our seats, you look out, and it's by far the biggest stadium we've been to probably since Villa away in the FA Cup under Mick, I guess, in 2013 was that maybe. So yeah, it's quite the contrast.
Newcastle.
I remember
Newcastle in the Championship.
Yes, of course, yeah, in the Championship. Yeah, I remember we used to get to the grounds and it was a 3-minute walk to the away end because you could walk around the whole stadium in about 10 minutes. And we got to the Etihad and it was like a 20-minute walk just to get to the gates where we had to go in. And we're all sort of, people are taking photographs and we're thinking this is different level. And then it did feel a bit like a cup tie when we got there, saw the pitch. I mean, the playing pitch was like an absolute carpet. It was immaculate. And then you hear the names and they all walk out and you kind of think, right, here we go. Let's see how we get on.
Yeah. And I'm going to stay with you, Seb, because you got to enjoy this moment. And look, okay, ultimately, people will say it was meaningless in respect of the result, but it's not meaningless at all. It's our first Premier League goal in 22 years. We took the lead against the best team in the division, one of the all-time great teams. And one of our new signings netted if you class a debut as, your first start. Run me through this moment, and I hope it's an irrelevance come the end of the season when we have lots more positive stuff to talk about than, we took the lead in a game. But what a great moment.
Yeah, but that moment was up there with some of the best celebrations we've had over the last 2 to 3 years, which sounds crazy because it's a relatively consolation goal and a 4-1 defeat. But for those 3 minutes and when the ball went in, it was scenes, as the kids say. I've seen kind of footage from the Man City end where they're kind of zooming in on the away section and everyone's going crazy. And I thought it was a really well worked, decent goal. I mean, it comes out afterwards and McKenna says they worked on counter attacking during the week, and Hutchinson kind of picks the ball up halfway in our half and does what he does. He drives off. He goes past Kovacic fairly easily. He kind of checks his run, and Ben Johnson had kind of been coming inside a little bit, kind of making it a 4-3-3. He was kind of playing as an inverted fullback to kind of help Luongo and Morsey out there, and he's made an underlapping run, and he's found perfectly by Hutchinson, and then it's a really quality ball through, and it's a brilliant run by Smodic. The diagonal run by Smodic is superb to get in behind Rico Henry and Rico Lewis, and it must be Diaz, I'm guessing. And then it's not the cleanest of connections, and from the away end, it seemed to take an absolute age to cross the line. But yeah, phenomenal scenes, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, you're kind of hoping the curvature of the earth's going to kick into effect and just take it over that white line. But yeah, an absolutely brilliant moment. Lovely through ball by Johnson, quality run by Smodic, and yeah, for we're in dreamland for 90 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever it was. We had our moment. You know, everyone's up, everyone's going crazy. Brilliant scenes and a brilliant start to the game.
Off the mark, Dave, and really good news that this team that dominated possession over the last 2 seasons, piled loads of men forward, can play on the counter attack and score against a really hard team away from home. That's something, isn't it?
That was a really good goal, and I think it was one. I think Morsey wins a sort of 50-50 on the edge of our box, and it breaks to Hutchinson in the first place. But as Seb said, that was a really great run from Johnson, beautifully weighted ball, and yeah, Smodic's really clever. He ran off Rico. I was going to say Rico Henry. He ran off Rico Lewis, didn't he? Ran off him. You know, he'd lost him, and you could see Vane arm up for offside, but no chance. It was perfectly timed, and yeah, good finish. Kept it low just as well, and yeah, just crept in. I mean, you are in. What is going on here? Absolutely dreamland. Even McKenna, when he sort of celebrates a goal, puts a fist up. He even looks in shock, doesn't he? Slightly.
Right, guys, that's the Man City game done. We're going to move on to new sign. I was saying to Seb before you got on the call, Dave, I had to work. I was driving up north and I got wind of the goal through a WhatsApp group, which I didn't want to get wind of it. And then I thought, I'm not looking at my phone again. And next time I looked, it wasn't that long after and it was 3-1. But yeah, I mean, let's bat the goals between you. You take the first one, Dave. Haaland from the penalty spot.
Yeah, it's. Do you know what? It's Savinho. I mean, what was evident yesterday, how wide Doku and Savinho play. They really, and I was said it before, got paint, white paint on their boots, haven't they? And Savinho was, right from the start, was sort of hugging the right, Doku on the left. And there's a bit of a build-up play back and forth, and eventually it sort of slips to Savinho wide right, who's come off the line a bit. And I don't know what you thought, but I think initially Davis is in a really good position. He's in a really good position, does everything, doesn't let him, because obviously Savinho, looking at him already, predominantly left foot. We can see what he's about. He wants to drop his shoulder and come inside. Does everything right, shows him the line, perfect, in a good position, and then doesn't need to, but just lunges, doesn't he? And that's all they're waiting
silly,
for.
Dave, silly.
It is silly, and then there's contact, and yeah, it's I'm a bit surprised that the ref couldn't see that immediately, but there's contact. Yeah, Davis initially thinks, you think it's a championship? Oh, we got away with one. No, we haven't. And as soon as he goes to see the monitor, you can see, and it was a pen, but it's just. Yeah, just rash, isn't it? A rash decision. It must have been incredibly frustrating. Well, not only for the team at McKenna, must have been really frustrated with that, because that's the thing. You score, obviously it's going to be. I know it's only 7 minutes. You go one up, and it's all you know what you're going to expect going one up. It's going to be a tidal wave, but you've got to try and see that out. You can see that out for 10, 15 minutes, and the crowd get a bit edgy, and maybe and who knows? But yeah, it was a pen, and I mean Haaland just. Oh wait, you know what he's going to do? Just every time opens himself up and passes it in the corner. Just what he does, isn't it?
He does, and well, let's get through this, Seb. 2 minutes later, and the lead has gone.
Sorry, just quickly, cue Benny Hill music or not?
No.
The crowd's up. You're thinking, right, we've had our moment. We've conceded. Just, take the sting out of the game for the next 5-10 minutes. A bit like what Dave said a minute ago. And yeah, Greaves works the ball back to Muric. Greaves has kind of got Savinho kind of on him. So there's no angle to return it to Greaves. And Haaland is stood right by Wolfenden. So there's no option there. So you have to go long. You've got no choice. Just, it's not what you want to do, but you go long down the pitch.
So can I quickly interrupt?
Yeah.
If you sit with Dave Diamond at the football, right, as this is happening, he's going, don't give it away there. Don't give it away there. Don't give it away there. And then the Fs and the blinds come in. He's giving it away. Told you. Sorry, carry on, Seb.
Yeah, so he obviously he kind of lets the ball come across him, goes to feint. I'm not sure what he's still trying to do. Savinho gets a foot in. The ball breaks for, of all the people, Kevin De Bruyne with an open goal, 20 yards from goal, who just rolls it home. Haaland's closing in to get the shot off, but De Bruyne rolls it home. And you're kind of thinking it's a bit surreal because you've gone from complete euphoria and complete, scenes of almost ecstasy in the away end. And suddenly in the space of, at that point, it's probably 90 seconds of football. The ref goes to the screen for the penalty. That takes a couple of minutes. But actual playing time, it's probably been 90 seconds since we kicked off from our restart. And suddenly you're kind of 2-1 down. And obviously Muric will get a lot of criticism, but that's how he plays. He will take those chances. Flagship did it last year. It's just that Flagship's first real mistake kind of happened at Watford, didn't it? When he had 4 or 5 months of credit in the bank and us kind of getting used to how he plays. And unfortunately for Muric, he's dropped a clanger on his debut. And suddenly, everything spun round in a matter of almost seconds. And then you're thinking, right, well, we had our moment. Here we go, and let's try and keep it tight for the next few minutes again.
There were a couple of phases here where I think Greaves receives the ball. I think it was the second pass back to Muric, and you can see, but you see Greaves has got the ball on his left side, and he's just looking to put it in an area, but it's just just not on. So keep possession. And look, it's good. It shouldn't happen, but it's good pressure from Savinho, and how he manages not only to win it, he somehow manages when he's on the deck to almost like hook it into De Bruyne's path, doesn't he? Just to rub salt into the and it's kamikaze one. But if you remember, it was Flagship first game last season away at Sunderland, got away with one, didn't he? Really got away with one. Just how it goes, isn't it? But it didn't look great, and Ben's quite right of anyone to fall to. He ain't going to loft that over the bar, is he? Or wide.
He's absolutely not. And he's masterful. Haaland, isn't he, Dave? Here he comes again, 3-1.
De Bruyne again. No, yeah. I mean, can we? I looked at this goal a couple of times. He's really deep when he receives this ball. I think Diaz passes it sort of out of the box to him, and he's just in his half very well. There, odd position for him. Really well, right left, well left in their half touchline. And he just takes a touch, gets a ball on his right foot, and just it's just tremendous weighted ball. Brilliant run from Haaland, splits both Wolfenden and Greaves. Muric, he's kind of got to come. I mean, if he comes and keeps going, he's going to take Haaland out and probably get sent off, isn't he? So he's in no man's land. It's a brilliant finish, though, isn't it? To nod it past him, he's going away from goal, and it's a delicate. He sort of like he side foots it when the ball's in the air. He side foots it back in. It's a good finish, but it's a sick one to concede again, isn't it? But brilliance from De Bruyne. My only question here with De Bruyne, could Tuanzebe have got a bit closer to him? But he's so deep, as someone said in the chat there, he's so deep when he receives it. It's just clever play from two world-class
Dave,
players.
People have been trying to stop that bloke for 10 years. So
and that combo for, 3 seasons probably now.
So he moved out to that flank about a minute before. He kept finding the pocket of space between, because obviously Johnson would come inside, and he just found that pocket of space every time in front of Tuanzebe. He kept going out there and he kept pinging balls away, and that's why he ended up in that position to loft that ball through. And then a world-class pass, a world-class finish. I guess if Muric doesn't rush out and stays on his line, is there a chance Greaves is coming across and can push Haaland wide? But Haaland's still going to get a shot off. So I guess it's one of those, isn't it? It's 2 moments of absolute quality from a ridiculously good football team.
It's the weight of the weight of the ball as well. It almost sort of spins. It's like backspin on it, isn't it? For him, it's class. I mean, you can, I feel a bit for Muric with that one because he's just stuck in no man's land there, isn't he?
And it's a poor line, isn't it? The defensive line is not great. Wolfenden's too deep, and Greaves is coming across. And I think Kev Ellis in our Telegram group's done like a still showing where the defensive line is. And it's all over the shop, isn't it? It's all over the shop. So we have to take some of the blame for that one as well. And then at 3-1 at the 17-minute mark, I think it was, you're thinking, right, shut this down, end it now. You know,
get out of here.
Yeah, this could be horrendous.
That's when they start playing 1-2s off the underside of the bar, isn't it? At that stage, just after that.
Yeah, you've got Rico Lewis stepping into midfield. Gvardiol's doing the same. It's a 2-3-5 when they're attacking. It's just ridiculous, and you're just thinking, right, just keep watching the clock. A bit like, do you remember Blackburn away and Coventry away? We're watching the clock as it's and it seems to be going slower and slower.
Coventry away, I stopped watching the game full stop.
We're all watching the clock, just counting down to half time, thinking, get him in. We had a couple of the tactical sit downs. You know, I think Amari sat down once, and
he did.
McKenna called a few people over, and you know, after this, nothing that much really. I know we hit the bar a couple of times, but you know, we kind of got our shape back. It was very noticeable when that one went in immediately. Davis, Luongo, and Morsey kind of caught people together, and it was very much a case of, right, you know, this has happened. Let's deal with this now. Let's regain our composure, regain our, you know, the things that we're so good at, and we did. You know, we did. It didn't become the route we were expecting at that point, but yeah, there were some moments there suddenly at 3-1 after 17 minutes, you're thinking, oh my God, here we go.
Just quickly, Seb, and to you lot in the chat. By the way, if you're on the chat live on YouTube, keep it going. Looks like it's moving greatly. Do hit the thumbs up button while you're in there as well. Seb, is it just the quality of Salah and De Bruyne who we faced so far, and Liverpool and Man City? Or do you have concerns about these periods where we've, you know, you could probably take a 10-minute period from Man City and a 10-minute period for Liverpool where we could have conceded 10 goals?
Yeah.
Does that concern you, or is it just those two teams particularly? Fulham are not going to do that, are they?
Well, I hope not. I mean, people in the chat, someone mentioned a minute ago, you know, poor Leif Davis has had Mohamed Salah and now Savinho, and it gets easy next week. But next week he's got Adama Traore running it in for 90 minutes. So, you know, I still have sympathies for him. I mean, we've conceded, 5 goals, and it must be a combined 10-minute spell. You know, the 3 goals in 4 minutes against City, the 2 goals in 5 minutes against Liverpool. It's just, I think we have to kind of recognise that the level that we are playing against, these aren't Premier League players, these are elite Champions League, you know, World Cup winning players. And I think it's just a level that we simply cannot really compete at. First half against Liverpool, fair enough, but you know, after we annoyed City, it was just night and day. And as I said before on I think pre-match and probably flagship before, I don't think these are the games that are going to determine if we stay in the league. They're 2 complete free hits in my eyes. You know,
the goal difference, right, Seb?
But even that, you know, we're 18th today, aren't we? You know, you've got Everton have been battered. We're not bottom. We've played the hardest game of the season away at Man City. We've played probably the 3rd best side at Portman Road after, you know, Man City and Arsenal, and we're still only 18th, 1 point away from safety. So the hard bits now are out the way. The fixture list will ease, relatively speaking, and we've got a chance to pick up some points. I don't think we can read too much into these 2 games in terms of the attacking quality of the sides, because they are absolutely elite, and for that reason, it doesn't really worry me. If this had been, no disrespect, Leicester and Brentford, for example, I'd be thinking, right, we've got an issue here. You know, we need to sort this. But I think it's the caliber of the opposition, the quality of those players. They will just rip you apart when they can, and they did.
What's your take on that, Dave?
No, I totally agree. They're going to do that to far better teams than us this season. They really will. One thing I think we should mention, the other foray we made into the Man City box is the Leif Davis penalty shout, which, tell you, again, I've watched that back a few times. Savinho's just coming from the wrong side. There's definitely contact there. All right, if it doesn't really matter. Has Davis perhaps lost control of the ball at that stage? But does that really matter? And to not even look at that is just, and then as I think Rich just mentioned in the comments, for match of the day to totally overlook and not even show it, I don't think, in the highlights. That's just unbelievable. I mean, it would. I mean, obviously you were at the other end, Seb, but clear contact, surely, and to not even look at it. What are VAR saying? What are they telling them?
It looked it in real time. It looked like Savinho kind of sticks a leg out and Davis goes down. You're thinking, right, and the ref was right there. The ref had a clear line of sight, completely unobstructed. And we kind of assumed, okay, the play goes on, but as soon as that ball, as soon as that ball goes out, it's going to stop. Ref's going to touch the earpiece, and we'll get there on the screen saying VAR penalty decision. But for nothing to happen, it was bizarre.
Strange,
it was really weird. I don't know what the rules are anymore. I don't know what makes them look at the first one and not our one, because when you watch it, it can't have been checked by VAR because it's blatant. So for whatever reason, they must have deemed it not to be. I think McKenna said that post match, didn't he? The fourth official said it's not going to a check for whatever reason. No idea why, because it was a stonewaller.
And I'm invoking my podcast rule. That'll do you for 30 seconds on VAR. We're not being that podcast this season.
Oh, no.
It should have been a penalty. Bad decision. Move on, I think.
Someone did say with their penalty, though, the ball went dead. So the ball went out for would it have been a corner, I guess, or a goal kick or something like that, where you quite rightly said after the Davis incident, the ball was in play, wasn't it? And play moved
City
on.
kept it for like a minute. It was like a minute, 90 seconds of just play. So no idea what went on there, but it was a blatant one, and it's one we're owed that hopefully across the season will obviously will balance out. They did hit the bar twice as well in the first half. Obviously, Rico, ridiculous.
De Bruyne shot, Ben.
And Muric for that doesn't even move, does he? He doesn't move. He's
almost got his arms folded. Well, let's go. No, it's not. Hang on.
Yeah. Ridiculous quality.
Oh. Talk to me about this second half, Dave. I'll go to Seb first because he was there. But what did they sit back and say? Well, look, the game's won, or did we lock up a little bit, or was it a DD bit of both on that?
Yeah, to quote my esteemed colleague to my right, it was a bit of both. It was Johnson kind of became a more recognisable wing back. Twanzebe kind of didn't come forward and became that third centre half. We locked it up a little bit. We made a few subs. They made a few subs. Gundogan kind of comes home and the sting kind of gets taken out of the game. They must have had 80%, 75% possession in that second half. They must have made 300-400 passes, I'm guessing. We had a moment towards the end where we kind of we broke on them, and the ball kind of falls to Jack Taylor, has a bit of an air kick, and then Harness kind of takes it off of Delap's foot as he's about to have an effort. And apart from that, it was a bit of a non-event. The save from Erling Haaland's header by Muric was brilliant. Right. If we criticise him for the second goal, we have to give him credit for that one, because it's a lovely ball in by De Bruyne, who plays it in effortlessly.
In the corner as well, isn't it? It's a good save.
Yeah, great header. And then a really good save by Muric, so he gets some credit back for that one. But nothing really happened. They kind of would keep the ball. They brought on John Stones, who went straight into central midfield, didn't go to the back. He just went straight to central midfield and started to run the game alongside De Bruyne. And it was a bit of a non-event till the 80th minute, I guess.
Gundogan
up there, Dave.
Gundogan had a little run as well, didn't he? I think Gundogan came on as Gundogan.
He did, well. That was the loudest kind of reception of the day, and that puts it in perspective. I think, was it 70 minutes? Grealish and Gundogan come on, and we've just brought on, Marcus Harness and Jack Taylor, and that's the level you're at. You've got no chance of competing, so they bring on world-class players to replace world-class players. Yeah,
it was just a shame that Haaland got his hat trick. Really, that we didn't see it out 0-0. Do you know what I mean? There's a bit more props there, but. Again, with that one, the ball sort of bouncing around on the edge of our box. I think Taylor gets a clearance, and I think it perhaps hits Harness and just comes back to him. But again, just instant spin, left foot shot. And I've seen some people perhaps call out Muric on that one, but it's right in the corner. Right low in the corner. So, I think he gets a bit of a pass on that one. I think just a great finish, and he's got yet another bloody hat trick. Just collects them, doesn't he?
The stat last night is it his 7th Premier League hat trick already or something? He's gone level with Rooney, but he's made about 400 less.
Oh, it's crazy when you see. I think it's Shearer. I forget who was the top, who had the most hat tricks, but it's something in 350 games. It's crazy. Yeah,
masterful. Yeah. If anything, Dave, what do we learn from? As you can see, I'm quite keen to put this behind us and get on to Fulham. But what do we learn? What do we learn from this?
You can only learn from that. The players will benefit from that. The experience you get from playing against those world-class players in their own backyard, it can only benefit you really, and make hopefully make you stronger. The fact that they kept them out, but other than the Muric save, was there any many clear-cut chances after? I can't remember. Okay, perhaps City were playing at 80% or whatever, passing, having a lovely old time. But no, look, I think we've got to take some credit for that, because at 3-1 and the manner of those goals that went against us, certainly the second and the third, you're thinking, this really could go anywhere. And I think Seb nailed it it was a really good point when Morsey, Davis, and some of the senior players got them together and said, look, okay, this has happened, not as we planned it, but let's buckle down and let's try and come out of this with some credit, which they did, I think.
And there were still some positives from individual performances. I thought Schmodic was excellent. Not just the
really
goal.
Good.
He's a pest. He's chasing down. He works really hard for the side. He was a big plus. I thought Twanzebe did fine. Luongo struggled in the middle. Morsey kept doing what Morsey kind of does. Hutchinson had a few good moments, a few good runs. Delap sometimes was, I think he's getting better with every game. He did cause a couple of problems. And even though we've kind of sat here on the back of a bit of a shellacking, a 4-1, there were certainly things to take away from the game in terms of positivity, and just like Liverpool last week, we kind of have to focus on those positive aspects of it, because it certainly wasn't the route and what it could have been.
You do wonder if you miss when you look at that the second goal and the chances that Greaves had, and then perhaps Muric had a Hurst playing in there, just to drop it in there. Yeah, I think we still I think lacking that, and that's no slant on certainly on Delap, who I thought, again, as Rich said there, I thought was really good yesterday.
There we go. So some positives. We can head back to that in the questions, but we've had a bit of a busy weekend transfer-wise again. So get your takes on a couple more new faces after this message from our friends at Atwell's Solicitors.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell's Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
And ITFC women won their first home league game of the season, 2-0 against #today. Lucy O'Brien and Sophie Peskett again on the score sheet. Maximum points and 2 clean sheets in 2 tough opening games. Next up, Norwich in the League Cup determining round. I got in trouble for saying up the Ipswich ladies the other day, didn't I? So congratulations to the Ipswich Town women's team, who have started the season in completely the opposite way to the men's team. Thank you again to the people over at Atwell's. And you can also support, point down there, Davis, underneath you today on YouTube. One Stop Badges. You can get 10% off the great people at One Stop Badges via the Blue Monday subscriber promo link in the description. Right, Dave, where the hell are you with this transfer window now? Because we spoke about the Luton approach, didn't we? Which we're now very much being accused of taking a kind of Luton Platinum approach now in building our EFL All-Star team, because they really are the EFL All-Stars, this lot. We talked about the Forest approach. Feels like we're getting slightly closer to the Forest approach than the Luton approach. We definitely didn't want to do the Norwich or Sheffield United approach, which we very much haven't done. We kind of like the idea of the Brentford approach, which maybe Kayuste, works a little bit on that. But well, let's do Jack Clarke first, Dave, because I think you were asked about him at Blue Monday Live. And you looked at me and you started laughing and you said, no, we're not going to be signing him. But
who would have thought?
That's what we're doing this summer.
Certainly last season, one of the best players I saw down there. I know in the end we edged them out, didn't we? 2-1. But that first half, I mean, what a goal he scored. No backlift, just rifled it past Laggy, didn't move. I thought he was outstanding in that game. And all through last season, when was it from, playing off the left, there was 40 appearances, 15 goals, that's so many assists. I don't know, 7 or 8 assists, something like that.
Sorry to interrupt. You can condense that though, because that Sunderland only played for 60% of the season.
Yeah, no, I know.
All his numbers were in there, weren't they?
Oh well, true. Good point, actually. Yeah, very, very, very good point. He was certainly one of the most outstanding players I saw down there last season. And I mean, he's 23. From what reportedly we paid for him, what is it, 15 plus potentially another 5 in performance. I mean, in the overall scheme of things, we've been mugged. We've mugged them off, haven't we? Yeah, absolutely superb signing. What an exciting signing, and I won't say it, but it's almost another. It's not quite a Calvin effing Phillips, but maybe a Jack flipping.
I need to make a public apology for that swear. I've never had so much feedback on one word I said on a podcast.
Jack flipping Clarke, mate. I mean, and look, we've got the little link up there. I mean, I know we signed Amari quite early on, 20 million. You think, okay. It's kind of
still counts as money spent, Dave. If it was,
I know it is, but then when you look down, you think, my word, we really are serious, aren't we? And I think with the add-ons, and you bear me out with this, are we now spent the most money of any promoted side? I think Fulham. We were close to Fulham, weren't we?
We can't be close to Forest, can we?
I wouldn't have thought so. I haven't seen Forest mentioning that. I've only seen Fulham.
Forest 2 seasons ago, didn't it?
They signed about 30 players, didn't they?
Yeah, 50 million or something.
Look, I'm not entirely sure, but just looking at that role there, I mean, it's just.
I will just say, Dave, it's normally nonsense on. No one knows what transfer fees are or how they're structured, do they? Apart from the Seb, I was at Elland Road in January 2019. And I promise you, I saw Jack Clarke playing on the right. It was the Spygate game where that all blew up before the match. And Leeds beat Derby 2-0. And you check on my YouTube channel, see what I said about Jack Clarke then. But that was one of those, Christ alive, he's going to be good. And he's playing down the right-hand side then, just absolutely obliterated. Who was the lad who used to play for Liverpool? Wisdom? The left back for Derby.
Wisdom, yeah.
Does that sounds about right, doesn't it? And poor fella. What's your take on Jack Clarke, who's now an Ipswich Town player?
Absolute quality. One of the names linked earlier in the window, and one of the names that really gets you excited. We saw, like Dave said, what he did at Portman Road last year. We've seen his stats. He carries the ball, excellent shot with very little backlift. The power he can generate off those shots is phenomenal, and he'll solve that left-hand conundrum that we've had for a couple of months with Broadhead kind of being out of the picture. An absolutely top draw player, quality everywhere he's gone, and a really, really exciting signing. You look at that graphic there. Do you remember, I think one of the post-Huddersfield games, did we all say we'll probably spend 50 million quid this summer? And we've just obliterated it, haven't we? I don't think we would go to this level, and it shows how serious they are, shows how how McKenna's been backed, and I guess it goes hand in hand with his new contract. And what an absolute quality signing. And like Dave said, to get him for that price is very good, because there were rumours, weren't they? Spurs had a 25% sell on, and therefore Sunderland would want the number to start with a 2 to make sure that they get a decent amount. And if it's 15 million going to 18, like reported, or whatever it is, phenomenal business by the club yet again, another top draw player for a really, really good amount. And can't wait to see him play.
I could sum up our transfer window in 3 words, but I'll get us demonetised once again, Dave. So we've been going back and forth over another centre-back, and Ahmed Odzic of Sheffield United was kind of heavily linked. Forgive me, I can't remember. There's a couple of others linked, but it's Dara O'Shea, who we know from the Championship, working under Carlos Corberon at Huddersfield, and was with Vincent Kompany and Burnley last season. And we know Burnley are a bloated squad that needs to remove players ASAP. How are you seeing the Dara O'Shea signing, which was announced? Was that, I can't even remember, one every day at the moment, isn't it?
No, it was. I think it was finally confirmed lunchtime, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, lunchtime.
But wasn't Clarke off post-match yesterday? I think, was it yesterday?
Yeah, you knew they were going to do that post.
Get the news out ASAP.
Yeah. And then O'Shea at lunchtime today again. Good age, 25, signed on a 5-year contract. Irish international. Played a load of games in the Prem under Kompany, I think last season.
Seb pointed out, with Big Sam as well. In 2020-21, he played in the Prem.
He was at West Brom, wasn't he? So
West Brom, yeah. And big. That was quite a big move. What was it? 7 was to Burnley. 7 million was it? I think.
That basically propped West Brom up to get to the takeover in the middle of last season. It was a really important move for them.
So again, it's someone else a bit like Clarke, who I think was linked with West Ham, and I think Lazio. Did I see he was linked Southampton as well? I think the O'Shea was quite heavily linked. I think to Brentford, and I think Wolves as well. And again, okay, he's an Irish lad, but you think again it's the McKenna, the McKenna. The pull of working under McKenna again, which perhaps has got another deal like this over the line. Yeah, really excited about this one. What was quite interesting, obviously, there was another. Yeah, we always thought there would be another centre back coming in. What was kind of nice, we should mention it, was yesterday that George Edmondson got like 2 or 3 minutes at the end, which I think was lovely. Perhaps that says, are we reading too much into it? But I think after the game, you saw him walk off with McKenna's arm around his shoulder. So perhaps don't be surprised.
Is that a sentimental Premier League appearance bonus, are you telling me, Dave?
Oh, do you know what? Potentially, I think it might be. I know he's quite heavily linked, I think, with Pompey, Portsmouth, And did I see earlier, perhaps Burnley as well, maybe?
He's a Man City fan as well, so I think it's the.
Okay.
Sentimental.
Right.
You've played in the Premier League at your boyhood club. Thank you so much for everything. We shake hands, and I'd imagine. Yeah, brilliant. I'd imagine this week at some point he'll probably be one of the ones to make an exit, I guess.
And you know what? He deserves it. He's never let us down. He's been absolutely magnificent, hasn't he? He's brilliant.
And came into a couple of bloody big games at the end of last season.
He really did, didn't he? I know struggle with that ankle injury beginning of the season before, wasn't it? I think perhaps a bit of last season as well. But he's been a great servant for us. And no, a lovely touch that. But no, O'Shea, like Clarke, yeah, really excited about this as well. As someone said, Crikey knows what our team will perhaps look like once everything's settled in, perhaps after the international break, mid-September. God only knows.
Well, we're talking about the drip, drip, drip feed of McKenna. The irony of all this, Seb, is the one a lot of people wanted hasn't happened, has it? And no striker in yet. So I'm going into Friday thinking there's still going to be one in and probably 4 out or something, isn't there?
Yeah, I would think so. The missing piece of the puzzle now is that number 9, isn't it? I've not read anywhere the Breuer deal is dead. I've read that it's hit a hitch and there's delays, etc. But until I see it's completely dead in the water, I guess there's still hope that one might occur. And if not, we're so well run. I don't believe for a second that Ashton hasn't got a plan B, a plan C that we will move on to fairly quickly if that one isn't going to happen. And then if that does kick in, then presumably Al Hamadi makes a loan move somewhere. Edmondson, we've just discussed.
Derby?
Yeah, maybe Oxford as well, linked as well, I think, weren't they? So could be good for him to go to the Championship and kind of play 30 to 35 games. Marcus Harness could be one that moves on. Jack Taylor, you're probably thinking, isn't going to get much game time. Luongo becomes the squad player. Morsey starts. Calvin Phillips starts. Cayu stays probably first choice off the bench. So does Jack Taylor go out? Yeah, there's still going to be one incoming, I would think, as a central striker. And like you say, 3 to 4 outgoings to balance the squad.
Round us out, Dave, on transfers, please.
Yeah, no, I think so. Broge is an interesting one, isn't it? Because someone said, he's got an Achilles problem or something. But it's an odd, from what I've read about it, and I can't recall if Joe and Craig covered this on was it Thursday whenever they did the pod. But this weird obligation to buy. They seemingly not, you've seen, other clauses where if you loan deals, I think with Cayuste's one, if you stay in the Premier or not. But this one seemingly is an obligation to buy, whether you stay in the Prem or not. So, yeah, that can't be easy. I cannot believe that's a straightforward thing to negotiate. And Chelsea are an absolute basket case anyway, aren't they?
Stupid thing, because why not just buy him then?
Well, exactly. So yeah, I think like Seb said, hopefully that's not completely dead, and there's a bit of a way to run with that. My only concern with that, he's still young enough, but ACL is such a massive injury for any player, even with the sophisticated rehab they do now. It's a big injury that, and yeah, you've just got to be so sure, haven't you?
Right, let's have a look at the results in the Premier League this weekend, and then, sorry, we've run long. There's been lots and lots to talk about, and
what's then it going to be like when we win?
Hopefully, that's going to happen in the next couple of months, Dave. Let's talk
3 hour,
League
3 hour show next Sunday. Go on.
Right, have you been practicing looking out for the teams who we think are going to be in the bottom 5 and focusing on their results? It's all new to us. So I'll just bang through these results brought to you by the fine people at Innovation Labs. If you want to pick out maybe one that you want to talk about, let's not talk about Mikey Penty Smith for a bonus point correctly forecasting Man City 4, Ipswich 1. I'm not looking forward to facing that conversation on Tuesday. That's a big one in the predictions, which you can catch with me and Mikey each and every Wednesday on the Blue Monday podcast, simulcast down the Benjamin Bloom football channel. It was Brighton 2, Manchester United 1. Brighton, they just do it, don't they? Palace 0, West Ham 2. Is it good news or irrelevant news? I think that might be irrelevant news. Fulham 2, Leicester 1 is kind of good news and kind of bad news at the same time, given who we play next. But David Diamond likes it, so maybe we'll talk about that. Southampton 0, Forest 1, I think is bad news. But we can talk about that. We need these games to be draws, gentlemen, don't we? Spurs 4, Everton 0. They are crap in the proverbial bed to begin with. Arsenal are very good, aren't they? Villa 0, Arsenal 2. Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. These were all today. Wolves 2, Enzo Maresca's Chelsea 6. And I suppose, as Dave was pointing out, affirmation for us that Brentford, a seasoned Premier League team, also lost 2-0 to our conquerors last week. Liverpool. David, you want to pick out a game to talk about there in week 2 in association with Innovation Labs?
Yeah, maybe the Fulham Leicester one. Leicester got me a bit worried there. Leicester got me a bit worried there when they got it back to 1-1. You think, no, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. And then I think Emil Smith-Rowe got the winner, I believe, didn't he? I think
he's a baller, that guy.
Yeah, I haven't seen that winning goal. I must have nodded off on Match of the Day. Obviously, after we were on and stuff.
He arrives in the box, Dave, touch, and then lifts it left foot from an angle. You'd like that.
Bit of quality, yeah. And the other thing, I mean, Everton just stunk the gaff out, didn't they, at Tottenham yesterday? Oh dear, I did watch that on Match of the Day, and if you thought that that Muric dropped the clanger there, well, England's number one, I think, dropped almost a bigger one. Where just basically letting the ball run under his foot for Sonny just to mug him off and roll it in. But yeah, I get what you're saying about the Southampton Forest game. Yeah, maybe you want to keep these sides close, don't you? So maybe a draw would have been. But it's always funny to see. You
don't want winners in those games, do you?
Yeah, but it's always funny to see Russ Martin's comments after.
That's so unnecessary.
We had 101% possession. But
Dave's gone all TalkSport on us, Seb. What is he doing?
It was the fans' fault this week, wasn't it? He came out on Match of the Day afterwards and said there was too much tension in the stadium.
Fair play to him. Yeah,
love Russ. Seb, anything you want to pick out from there?
I guess, like Dave said, the Everton one, they've started the season absolutely appallingly. And Southampton, they played against 10 men last week at Newcastle for a lot of the game, didn't get anything. So they probably would have thought Forest at home, a real chance now to put a bit of a statement out and do some business. And poor. And Wolves 2, Chelsea 6. Where's that come from? I mean, great for my fantasy side because I've got Cole Palmer who got a goal and 3 assists, I think. But, Chelsea last week, completely outclassed by Man City, had an awful pre-season. Maresca's probably the bookies' favourites to get fired, and goes up there and 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and then all of a sudden 6-2. Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Right, guys, get your questions in for Dave and Seb, and we'll round out the podcast with that. The boys mentioned it on Thursday. We are in cahoots here with football prizes, and you can win a double Amari Hutchinson Wes Burns shirt over at footballprizes.co.uk. The last one we did with them sold out as well. I think that was a completely signed Ipswich shirt. It's basically just a £4 and it's a raffle, but the prizes are really, really good. So go and check that out. And if you want more details, I'm not just trying to get us an extra view here on YouTube. Just head back to 7 Mikey's show on Thursday night in the preview. Speaking of previews, it's going to be Fulham coming up next week. Mikey and I will be back with the Premier League predictions on Wednesday. Seb and Rich will be in the hot seat with the Fulham preview. Lots of optimism now our pre-season friendlies are finally over. And I assume I'll be back. I should be back at Portman Road, David, on Saturday for my first game of the season, which my season ticket hasn't arrived yet, which is unhelpful and prohibitive to get into the ground. So
your season ticket
hasn't arrived.
No, I've not seen it unless my missus is just like gone, right, I'll take that. And
dog's eating it. You've got a dog. You've got a dog. Dog's eating it, maybe?
Mate, I've got a 3-year-old daughter. That's far more likely. It's been used in some kind of weird game with a dinosaur and a Smurf or something. But there you go. Get your questions in. But we do need to say thank you. We tried to go full tilt on the start of the Premier League. We put a load of content out. We're a bit worried that we might have been doing too much, but the feedback is you guys are loving it. We're loving being back in the Premier League. We're loving interacting with you guys. And you keep watching, you keep giving a nice feedback, and we will keep making the content. So thank you so much. Right, let's find some questions. Can I take this one? Simple one. Josh Sargent.
Ooh.
Be absolutely perfect, wouldn't it? For so many reasons, but yeah, never going to happen. Let's go to Seb. From Ed here. Our lopsided attack through Davis worked in the Championship. Is it a worry that Premier League teams are targeting? Is our left side now a vulnerability?
Well, I guess now everyone having seen the first 2 games is going to target our left-hand side and press our goalkeeper, and we'll have to find ways around it. Me and Rich debated this on the drive back from Manchester last night, and I kind of said, in some ways, Leif Davis is learning a new position because he spent 2 years so high up the pitch, almost as an out-and-out left winger for most games, that he's kind of now got to work out how this kind of new how he sits in this new kind of Premier League era. So yeah, they will fix it. They will get to grips with it. He's still going to be probably our top assists and one of our key, set piece delivery guys. But I think we will see sides target that. But when you've got a Calvin Phillips or a Kayuste kind of in the Luongo role to come across,
say his name properly, Seb. Don't say his name properly. No, don't do that.
Yeah, we get demonetized, don't we? If we, I'd imagine when you've got one of those. If
anyone gets that on the back of their shirt, no, don't do that either. So carry on, Seb. I'm being very silly tonight.
When you've got players of that ilk in the Luongo role who can kind of step across and support him, I think you might see it make a big difference. So yeah, give it a couple of weeks, get those guys in the team, and he might well find that he's got a bit of extra support to kind of help him out.
Can I just say in the build-up to the Radio Suffolk commentary yesterday, about 2:00, I heard GMAC and Brenner call him K-Just.
Oh, K-Just. Oh, I was talking about KFP.
Right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Dave, Zoroark, Wimbledon 11. I should have mentioned that's in midweek. Strong, second string, or a hybrid? It's got to be the second string, hasn't it, Dave? You've got to give all these guys a week off and not travel, yeah?
I think so. But it'll be a kind of. I think between the second and third, as kind of second string stroke hybrid. If hybrid means a slight combination of both, does it?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Second string. What the hell? Let's throw that in there.
All of the answers, all as well.
All of the above. I see. Yeah. So, but look, these players have got to get some minutes. So, and will you see like Phillips get some time? Can you get some time? I think perhaps you will, won't you?
I think so. I guess departures might have an impact as well. I guess we're assuming squad players will play, but we might have 3 or 4 on the way out, so they might not play.
When is it? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? When is it?
Wednesday, I think, isn't it?
Wednesday. Okay, yeah, you might well then.
So blasé now, aren't we? Don't even know when the games are. We're so transfixed on these Premier League games. Seb, just quickly, are you going to be, for clickbait purposes, using the words "must win" in the preview ahead of the Fulham game, or how many times?
If you look at our Blue Monday pre-season first 6 predictions, didn't we all go for a win at home?
I think I went for a draw, to be fair.
Okay, you've got the sensible cap on. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, can you have a must-win game in the game week 3 of the season? You
can in YouTube title land.
Absolutely. We'll get it clipped. We'll get me and Rich debating it, and we'll get it out there on the socials. Just after we clip what David just said, because I'm still lost at what he was trying to say, I'll be honest.
Seb.
See, what I said made perfect sense, but not Ben. Everyone else.
I think we've already established my cognitive power is lower than average, especially on a Sunday night. Seb, and Dave from Colin, who is the lad's choice for number 9 at Town? I think that's a one-word answer, please, Seb.
Well, you hope Breuer. Hopefully the medical goes through and we can get him. If not, I think I said it after Huddersfield. Latte Lath has always been one I've liked in the Championship in terms of pressing and putting himself about. But yeah, I'm not sure. Breuer first choice by a mile.
Yeah, I agree. Latte Late's a bit small, isn't he? He's not. Is he?
Yeah, but he was so
6'10"?
good in the air, wasn't he? Do you remember? He's like, well, my
Yeah.
David Johnson comment I always make on every podcast I'm on. He's got that ability to kind of get himself up, hasn't he? So yeah, I'd be happy with him. But Breuer's streaks ahead. So if we can get him, get Breuer.
Yep.
Where are we going to land here? Peter, Dave, do you think our attacking new signings are likely to make their debuts more quickly than Philip? That's a good question, that, given how vital Morsey and Luongo have been and how pragmatic, in a good way, McKenna is with not disrupting his covalent bonds and patterns of play, right?
Yeah, I think I'd like to make defence more quickly than Phillips and Keys. Yeah, I mean, I think my point in that is you need to bed these players in as quickly as possible. And if like, you know, looking at the Wimbledon game, if you can get them involved in the Wimbledon game, then I'd certainly play them. Certainly Kayuste, I was a bit surprised he didn't get some minutes yesterday, but you'd think he's going to be a shoo-in, isn't he, for Wimbledon, someone like that? And you'd think Clarke would get some minutes. Phillips, who knows how he's training. You'd think you'd want him ready for at least some minutes on Saturday, wouldn't you? Definitely.
Dave, I think to the question, though, there's always the chance with McKenna that strikers can get and wingers can get half an hour in this team with the pressing, and the midfielders tend to be left a little bit more steady, don't they?
Yeah. One point yesterday, do you think that Luongo struggled yesterday, as he was perhaps always going to in a game like that? And someone I think said, that may be perhaps one of the last games you see Luongo start, which is probably a fair comment, isn't it? League game.
I think so, given the caliber of the player that's now coming. But again, I think anybody would have struggled against, De Bruyne. At times, it was him and Morsey against like 5 players, 2 centre halves, and De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva dropping in. And yeah, I think we, like you said earlier, we will see teams far better than us get smashed at the Etihad with quality central midfield. So yeah, it might well be the last time we see him and Morsey start a league game, but I think he'll still have a part to play throughout the season.
I kind of forgot about Bernardo Silva. He was out there too, wasn't he?
I just headlined on Haaland and De Bruyne. That was enough for me. Guys, this is not a question. This comment has made me quite excited. It's a great point from ITFC Dan said, with Clarke adding ammunition from the left, that is going to be our left-hand side now, isn't it? Woo! Does that take a bit of... Because Clarke just constantly comes in, skins people and shoots with his right foot, doesn't he?
It's exactly what the goal was like against us, wasn't it? He picked the ball up, one touch on his left foot to set it, and the right foot shot with the power straight past Flagship back in January. So, yeah, potentially it might take a bit of pressure off Davis, and he can then work on his defensive side of the game a little bit more with a little bit more support from the central midfielders. So, yeah, I guess that will relieve a bit of pressure off him being the constant outlet that we've seen for the last 2 years.
Didn't he score a goal in Sunderland's first game this season? Exactly the same.
Exactly.
Just shifted it on his right foot and drilled it in the far corner. Look forward to seeing plenty of those.
92nd minute winner against Fulham like that. Seems.
Dear.
Rob's done his homework. Here we go. Dave. There you go. Walton, Johnson, Wilford and Burgess Townsend, Phillips, Kierstay, Harness, Chaplin, Al-Hamidi and Clarke.
Second string hybrid. Exactly what I was getting at.
He's not letting this one go, Seb.
Second string hybrid. There you go.
He's not going to let it go.
That's what he meant.
Guys, thank you so much for all of your questions. Let's just round this out. Dave, how have you had a chance to enjoy it yet? I know it was a great occasion for the Liverpool game. I think maybe, if I'm being really honest, I was publicly saying on the podcast and when people were doing interviews and stuff, I was publicly saying, we lose the first 2 games. But secretly, I was like, but we might just get a draw in one of them. Wouldn't that be brilliant? And now we're sat here, we have lost both of them. How are you feeling right here, right now, ready to attack Fulham and international break, as Seb's pointed out, with the chance to train up all of these new players?
Mate, it's just all brilliant, isn't it? It's just all brilliant still, isn't it? We've just spent 100 million. We just spent the thick end of 100 million. Well, reportedly 100 million quid. This is Ipswich Town, mate. So look, you've still got to just look, with a bit of a cliche, but enjoy the ride. You know, we to be fair, I think more than one or two of us in our little predictions did perhaps think we might nick a draw against Liverpool, but you know, yesterday was a game that was just always going to be written off. So yeah, I think I don't know. Everyone else is still excited. How brilliant were the crowd yesterday, Seb? Bloody fantastic, weren't they? Absolutely,
yeah, phenomenal. It's we came back and the game was replayed in its entirety on one of the Sky Sports channels. So we rewatched it, and all you can hear is the Ipswich fans. I mean, there's a separate debate around City fans and the atmosphere at the Etihad, but our fans were absolutely phenomenal. Even at 3-1, we're still Blue Army chants are still going on, and yeah, absolutely.
Seb, can I just jump in on that? I went to a Man City game a couple of years ago. It was when Haaland first signed. They were playing Forest, and they won 6-0. And I'm not joking. I sat with the Man City fans. They're completely bored after it went like 3-0 up. They were like, whatever, it's Forest, going to enjoy the Real Madrid game later in the season and the Chelsea game and the Man United game. So it's a bit of a weird kind of atmosphere they've been what they've been given there. But just to round it out, Seb, are you loving it as much as Dave?
I am. You have to, don't you? This is what we've all been waiting for so long. And I still genuinely do feel really optimistic about the season, even after, -5 goal difference, whatever it is. I still feel like we're going to be okay because I've seen moments, as I said earlier, we've conceded, 6-7 goals in the space of 9 minutes of playing time. I've seen enough in the rest of it. The first half against Liverpool, the second half to a certain degree against Man City, the opening goal against Man City. I've genuinely seen enough to know that I think we're going to be okay because, the principles, the philosophies that we're so used to, we've seen a couple of things come off against truly elite opposition. And that gives me hope that when we play the sides that we have to take the points from, the likes of Leicester and Everton and Wolves maybe, then I do think we'll be able to do that. And we've got this window is now closing. That'll add kind of a sense of calmness to the playing staff. McKenna will get into them, and yeah, I'm really, really excited for this season, and I think we're going to be fine. I really, really do.
David Diamond, podcast legend, I was just about to say podcast veteran. I don't sound like a podcast veteran. I sound like someone who needs some sleep. Would you like to sign us off after we've visited the English champions, got a bit of shellacking, but optimism still high?
As our good friend and colleague Mikey Pensy Smith once said, every point's a prisoner.